Reprise du débat, l'honorable député de Lac-Saint-Louis.
En tant que préambule, j'aimerais m'attarder sur un des points soulevés par mon collègue il y a quelques secondes lorsqu'il parlait du rôle de la Chambre des communes au sein de notre démocratie canadienne. C'est un endroit où on peut faire ressortir des idées par rapport à la question qui fait l'objet de débat. Moi, je ne siège pas sur le comité de la défense. Nous avons un porte-parole extrêmement compétent qui remplit très bien cette tâche. Donc, je n'étais pas au courant à 100% de la question de ce projet de loi C-15. Et j'en avais entendu discuter, j'avais entendu dire que le projet de loi laissait à désirer, mais je n'avais pas pu faire le tour de la question avant que le projet de loi se rende en Chambre pour un débat un peu plus approfondi. Donc, ça souligne encore une fois le rôle et l'importance de la Chambre des communes comme instance démocratique de notre pays, et je félicite mon cher collègue qui vient de prendre la parole avant moi, d'avoir fait le point là-dessus. Monsieur le Président, en passant, j'aimerais aussi dire un mot à propos de mon collègue, le député de Winnipeg North. I remember when the member from Winnipeg North joined the House of Commons not long ago after a very exciting by-election win in Winnipeg. He, of course, brought tremendous experience as a provincial legislator to that race and then to Parliament. And I remember being very impressed by his ability, his oratorical skills, Mr. Speaker, his ability to speak in Parliament and to get right to the core of an issue so that we could better understand what was at stake in any debate. But when I learned that he had been a member of the armed forces, I must say I doubly appreciated his public service and what he's done for this country. And he joins, of course, two eminent Canadians, one of whom is sitting to my left, the Member of Parliament for Westmount Ville-Marie, who also was a member of the military. Not only was he Canada's first astronaut in space, but he was also a member of the military, of the naval forces, and used his skills and knowledge as an engineer to support that arm of the armed forces. And of course, we also have in the Senate, Senator Romeo Dallaire, a great military man, a great Canadian, a great internationalist, and of course, a great Liberal. So I think we have on this side of the House a fair amount of depth, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to discussing military issues, and I'm proud to say that I belong to this caucus. Now, Mr. Speaker, the government has for years disparaged the opposition by saying that the opposition does not support the military. In any crisis, in any situation where the military was discussed with a certain amount of intensity, the government opposite never missed a beat in terms of questioning the esteem with which all members of this House, including the members of the opposition, hold members of our military, not only veterans but currently serving members. Now, Mr. Speaker, I ask you to look south of the border for 1 minute. Can you recall a time when, in a crisis or in any other situation, the military has been used as a partisan weapon by one party to attack another? In a crisis, have we heard presidents say, members of the other party don't respect the military, they don't believe in the military, they don't have the best interests of the military at heart? I don't hear that south of the border. Yet that is supposed to be a society that is so much more divided than ours, so much more polarized than ours. I would say to the members opposite, to the members on the government side, you talk a good game when you talk about supporting the military, but when it comes time to give charter rights to members of the military, suddenly that we don't talk about those things. We gloss over them. Well, Mr. Speaker, I would remind honourable members that 2 weeks ago was the 31st anniversary of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And that day, that anniversary day, coincided with the day that the new Liberal leader, Justin Trudeau, met with his caucus for the first time as leader of the party. Mr. Speaker, that was a fine day. That was a fine day. Now, Mr. Speaker, how much time do I have left?
Just remind the honourable member and all others not to use the name of their colleagues.
No leader, Mr. Speaker.
Francis gets excited. Yeah. Francis, we're all excited.
Sorry, I apologize. I should have known better, Mr. Speaker. I've been in this House long enough to know that. Mr. Speaker, you know, there was a time when soldiers held a very different position in society, and I know that the honourable member from Ajax, Pickering, who has no doubt studied history, understands that the role of the military in society has evolved over time. There was probably a time, and he probably knows better than I, there was probably a time when the military was considered somehow on the bottom rungs of society. Perhaps there were slaves in the military, and they did not enjoy the same rights as those who governed society or of those who practiced other trades. But society has evolved, Mr. Speaker. And members of the military, now, to quote what another individual has said, members of the military are equals in society. They are citizens who wear the uniform. They are citizens who wear the uniform, and I would say who show a great deal of commitment to the values upon which this country is based, a commitment so strong that they are prepared to put their lives on the line to promote and to defend those values around the world, Mr. Speaker. So members of the military are equal members of society. They have a right to the same protections under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and we owe them a great deal, Mr. Speaker. Now, let's talk a little bit about changing attitudes and about morale, Mr. Speaker. We know that if we want our men and women in the military who are volunteers, who put themselves in harm's way, if we want them to do their best for our country, if we want them to protect us with the commitment that they show every day, it's important that they feel respected by society, that they feel they are respected by us, that they are respected under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. In this sense, Mr. Speaker, we're talking about enlightened self-interest. It's in our enlightened self-interest to ensure that members of the military have the morale, they feel the respect that will allow them to do the best job they can do on our behalf. Now, Mr. Speaker, I'll get a little more into the detail of this bill, and it is not all bad. Every part of this bill is bad, Mr. Speaker, and I will remind the House that the bill came out of a process. It came out of a process that involved the House of Commons and the Senate, and I'd like to touch a little bit on the background of this bill, Mr. Speaker. The bill originated from recommendations made in a report by the Right Honourable Antonio Lemaire, the late former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, as well as from recommendations contained in a report by the Senate Standing Committee on Legal and Constitutional Affairs, entitled Equal Justice, Reforming Canada's System of Court-Martials. Now, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to underscore the word in the title of the Senate report, the word equal justice. And I think this is very important in the context of today's debate, because this is really what we're standing up for today on this side of the House. We're standing up for equality and fair treatment of those like the honourable member from Winnipeg North, like the honourable member from Westmount Ville-Marie, like the honourable Senator Romeo Dallaire, who have committed themselves to protecting this country from what is obviously a very dangerous world at times, Mr. Speaker. And I think I'll end on that note. Thank you.